Over our allotted time for this, people and Senator Ludlam wanted to ask a couple of questions, so I'm sorry we'll have to interrupt you there. Senator Ludlam.
Thanks, Chair. How long are you comfortable to let this run without putting people out?
5 minutes maximum.
Very much appreciated, Chair. I might just break it into two brackets. So firstly, the AGD's disclosure log that was on the website, that in my experience the department would, when it published Freedom of Information documents that were released, would be displayed on the website, and now people are just told how many documents were there and told that they can contact the department if they want a copy. When did that policy change happen, and how is that consistent with just a transparent and open government?
So you're asking questions of the department now, Senator?
Well, we can either ask it to the department, or I'm happy to put it to the Commission.
I'm happy, Mr. Chair, to start taking questions for the department if you wish.
I tell you what,
doing this at 9:15, but no, still,
we'll do it later. If it would be directed to you, I'm happy to do it later. We won't take up too much more time with that. This one is directly to the Information Commissioner then. You recently found that DFAT's actions in relation to my FOI request were significant failings, not adhering to the FOI Act, and that delay, coupled with the department's consecutive use of charges and extension of time provisions, could be done accidentally. Are you familiar with the one that I'm aware of?
Yes, it was the Dr. Popple's decision. I'll have him answer that.
And a very good decision, sir. So please go ahead. You're aware of the case that I mean?
Yes.
So in response, I asked your office two questions. So firstly, what threshold do you use for establishing deliberate conduct, as opposed to conduct that this accidentally happens to be extraordinarily obstructive? Where do you decide that something's crossed the line?
Senator, I don't think I can answer that question in the general. I mean, as you know, I came to that conclusion in the specific incident here. I made a decision in response to your complaint. But on my analysis of the information I had, which was your complaint and some information from the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, it was and is my view that their transgression was not intentional.
Okay. How much more obstructive would they have needed to have been for you to have concluded that it was intentional? Because as far as I can tell, that exploited every loophole in the Act. There wasn't a lot left they could have done to slow us down. So what would they have needed to have done for you to have made a different conclusion?
Senator, it wasn't really a matter of what they needed to have done differently. It was more that my view, from what I learnt about that matter, was that they had made their decisions oblivious to the fact that they ought to have been doing something different. I mean, there were a number of matters where when we advised them that our view of the Act was that they had not done the right thing. It was clear to me that they had honestly but incorrectly come to a different view.
It's interesting. Okay. On 12 June, the Privacy Commissioner issued a statement on the surveillance of the communications and online activity of Australian citizens by US intelligence agencies. Are you familiar with that statement?
Timothy Pilgrim, Australian Privacy Commissioner. Yes, I am, Senator.
Okay. Was that statement... Mr Pilgrim, do you have the authority to issue statements like that on your own initiative, or did that have to be cleared through other officers or the
No, I can issue statements to the media as I determine fit.
Okay, thank you. Who else was consulted in the content of that statement?
There would have been some discussions with some senior policy staff within our office, as is the natural process depending on the matter, but no one beyond that, Senator.
Okay. Look, could I assume, though, that was part of a whole-of-government response to the Snowden revelations, or was that an isolated action just of your office?
That statement was made purely by me, Senator.
It was. All right, thank you. The statement reflects the reality of Australia's legislation and the limited legislative remit of the Privacy Commissioner when it comes to acts of overseas governments. I wouldn't seek to contest the factual basis of what you've written. But the statement then appears to excuse the US surveillance operation by not indicating any faint degree of problem. That as a Privacy Commissioner looking after the privacy of all Australian citizens, including everyone in this room, you appear to be completely comfortable with the extraordinary revelations that have scandalised capitals all over the world. Would you care to just enlighten us as to why you were so comfortable in your role as Privacy Commissioner?
I think what I was doing in that statement, Senator, is making a comment firstly, as you point out, on the facts of the matter around what legislation now regulates the accessing of information within Australia, pieces of information such as the Telecommunications Interception Act.
Yeah, which has no bearing at all, though, does it?
I wouldn't like it to be couched in terms of me being necessarily comfortable or uncomfortable. It was a matter of stating the facts of the matter in terms of those pieces of legislation. However, I have subsequently made comments in terms of my view that there is always the ability for greater amounts of transparency in terms of what information is available to the community about these sort of accesses, and most recently in the context of Apple providing at least some statistical information about what it releases to various governments around the world in terms of accessing of their systems.
So the ATG's department was briefed according to an FOI that the ABC submitted. They were briefed on the PRISM program about 2 months before the revelations were pushed into the public domain.
This is,
this is by way of background.
That's not correct, actually.
Oh, okay.
That was a inaccurate rendition by the journalist, whoever it was, inferring from a document that it doesn't exist. There was no briefing on PRISM. Okay.
So there were three, I understand. So I'm very happy for you to clarify the record that the ADG's department was not briefed or did not provide any briefings on that PRISM network or the PRISM operation.
That's right.
So when did you first become aware of its existence?
Sorry?
When did you first become aware of the existence of that surveillance operation?
I don't know when I first became aware of it, actually, not until I was reading documents. So we're getting on to national security now?
Yeah, we are.
No, we're not actually.
Yeah, I'm happy to defer those. No, you've been quite generous. I'll come back to these later in the evening.
Well, hold on. We're in the middle of it now. But
I'm in the chair's hands.
Oh,
well,
go ahead and conclude your answer if you like.
No, I was just making the point that the premise of your question was wrong, Senator. We would like to contest that. It'll take a bit of time, I think, later this evening.
Let's do that.
But I think the journalist drew the wrong inferences from the fact that there was a title on a document, and we'll have to explain it to you at some length this evening exactly how they got it wrong, but it was wrong. We didn't prepare any briefing on PRISM.
All right, that was worth turning up. Thanks, Chair.
We might leave